Hello everyone, it's your teacher here again, Miss Vivian Elizabeth from Andalusia Academy, bringing to your doorstep the virtual learning. Welcome to our today's session, and if I look back quickly, we looked at descriptive writing that I introduced in our previous lesson, and we were able to look at define what to describe means and what descriptive means. And we say to describe means to give detailed information, detailed explanation about something. Could be a place, an item, a person, an event, okay? So we were able to look at how to achieve a good descriptive text, and therefore we agreed that for us to describe something to somebody who was not there, or someone who has never been there, or someone who has never seen an item or a person. Say for example, you go home from school and your parents would like to know who your English teacher is. Of course, you will be very descriptive because you want to create a mental image in the minds of your parents so that they can get an actual picture of how your English teacher looks like and her personalities and everything. Sorry if I'm too much on her or his personalities and all. So today, again, last time we were able to talk about achieving a good descriptive text, and we said we must make choice of vocabulary that appeals to the 5 senses. When we talk about, we talked about sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of taste, sense of sight, and sense of smell. So we were able to look at how do we achieve them, and we said that we don't actually bring images, we don't draw them, okay? You cannot draw your English teacher and take home, this is how he or she looks like. You have to make proper choice of vocabulary so that whoever you're giving the description to can get a mental picture, okay? So we are here, and I promise you that in our next lesson, which is today, we're going to look at how to use this vocabulary in coming up with a complete descriptive writing. So we are going to describe a place in the sample that I chose, that I was able to come up with, and the place we're going to describe is called the hidden garden. Okay, if you have a garden at home, you can actually tell how it looks like, and this is mine that I created, okay? The hidden garden. So we are going to look at the first paragraph, and you remember, in every time you're writing, whichever type of text you're writing, you must have an introduction that is taking us to the setting, that is telling us the character. In this case, we're not describing a character, rather we are describing a place. So we are looking at the setting, you're looking at whatever we are going to be engaged in as far as description is concerned, and therefore our title there is the hidden garden, and we have our introductory paragraph which still is describing what we will be looking at. So let's go through step by step and look at the paragraphs, the word choice, the sentence structures, the punctuation we have, so that we're able, at the end of the day, you're able to understand how my garden looks like. That is the hidden garden that I was able to describe here. So we will start with the first one, the first paragraph. So if you can read with me together. Tucked behind a crumbling stone wall, almost forgotten by time, lies a secret garden that seems to breathe with quiet magic. Okay, so we are having a secret garden. That is what we are describing today. We have a hidden garden. So look at our choice of words. Tucked behind a crumbling stone wall, almost forgotten by time, lies a secret garden. And remember, that seems to breathe with a quiet magic. Remember, if you look at paragraphing, okay? If you look at paragraphing, we always have, in each and every paragraph, we always have what we call the topic sentence. So our topic sentence under our introductory paragraph has introduced, or rather mentioned, what we are describing, which is a secret garden. So continuing to the next sentence, we have, as you step through the arched iron gate, the world shifts. Let's find out how the world shifts. The noise of the bustling city fades, replaced by a hush that feels like a held breath. Okay, so we are going to look at step by step. Remember, in each and every paragraph, we are going to identify which vocabulary or which sentence is actually going to appeal to your 5 senses. So let's begin with the first one. Which one do you think we find in our introductory paragraph? Of course, we have said we have our topic sentence there describing. Then let's look at this. As you step through the arched iron gate, the world shifts. The noise of the bustling city fades. Okay, replaced by a hush that feels like a held breath. So if you look at this paragraph here, I'm going to underline keywords, and the words I'm going to underline, the noise, underline noise, and underline bustling, and fades, and we are looking at hush. Okay, that feels like a held breath. Okay, the silence when you hold your breath, you're not breathing. The silence when the bustling city is replaced by a hushing sound, very quiet, the peaceful, the peace, the tranquility we find when everything else goes quiet. So if you look at this is appealing to the sense of hearing. And remember, we talked about it. So let me just... So what we find here, sense of hearing. So we are having the noise being from the bustling city fades, meaning being replaced by a hush that feels like a held breath. You can practice it at home. You can practice it now when everything else goes quiet. People stop breathing, people stop banging things. You can imagine how tranquil that is, how peaceful it is. So when we say describing, we want people to know the garden. The introductory paragraph has given us a sense of hearing, telling you the tranquility and the peace that the garden, the hidden garden, actually has. Okay? So that, having said that, again, I'll briefly mention the punctuation marks that have been used. Look, wonderfully, we have a full stop there, we are having a comma there, we are having a dash there, you know. So every single type of writing, we have punctuation, creating meaning and all that. However, I'll briefly mention that the way I've done, because today we are basically looking at creating senses in descriptive writing. Right. Allow me to move to the next paragraph. Good. We have moved from the introductory paragraph. We have looked at the topic sentence. We are obviously describing a secret garden. And we have looked at what actually the sense that we get from the first paragraph, and that is the sense of hearing. What you hear when you get to the secret garden that we are describing. The scent of jasmine greets you first, sweet and heady, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil and freshly crushed mint leaves. The air is cool and tinged with the fragrance of blooming roses, lavender, and wild thyme. Every breath feels like sipping floral tea, soothing, almost sweet on the tongue. Okay, let's look at this. We're having the scent of jasmine. Let me just underline it. Scent already tells you something. We are trying to appeal to a particular sense. Okay, greets you first. Again, just to briefly mention, we have a semicolon there has been used. Remember the uses of semicolon, if you can recall, they create meaning. I'll repeat again, punctuation marks create meaning and they make words or rather sentences or ideas meaningful. So if you look at the scent of jasmine greets you first. We're having a semicolon there, and look at what we introduce. Sweet and heady, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil and freshly crushed mint leaves. So it is very obvious that this paragraph here appeals to the taste of smell. Look at that. Sense of smell. Again, we said that you don't have to take home or you don't have to take a picture of your teachers to make your parents understand how they look like. No. We're actually making you to be able to describe whether you're talking Whether you're writing it down, you should be able to choose your vocabulary such that you appeal to the senses, the 5 senses, to whoever you're describing something to. And particularly today we have selected describing a place, and that is our garden. So first we looked at what you hear when you walked into the garden. Now we are describing what you can smell when you actually walk into the garden. So we can smell the scent of jasmine. You can actually describe the air. The air is cool and tinged with the fragrance, so I'll underline the term fragrance too, of blooming roses, lavender, and wild thyme. Every breath feels like sipping floral tea. You know, when we use floral tea, you wonder, flowers do smell so nice. So when you're sipping, whatever you breathe in, okay, every breath feels like sipping floral tea. If you're bringing tea, a cup of floral tea close to your mouth, the smell, you will feel the smell, you will smell whatever aroma comes with a floral tea, and therefore it is soothing, almost sweet on the tongue. Okay, again, we are also having taste here. We have sense of taste because we are talking about almost sweet on the tongue. Taste and smell at the same time. You can imagine how sweet it is to be in that garden. Everything else is just, you know, whatever. I like words to describe them. Okay? Then we are moving to the next paragraph. Okay, there we are. So our next paragraph, you can mark it with the line that we have there. A canopy of leafy branches filters the sunlight, scattering dappled shadows onto the mossy ground. Occasionally, a golden shaft slips through, landing on a spider's web that glistens like spun sugar. Look at that. We're having a canopy of leafy branches, and I'm going to underline filters. I'll underline sunlight, okay? I'm going to underline shadow, and what else? Glistens. We are appealing to the sense of sight. So we have sense of sight here. You cannot hear sunlight, students. You cannot taste sunlight, but you can see sunlight, okay? Something glistening, you can actually see it in your eyes. And remember, we said sense of sight, we are referring to the body organ that is the eyes, okay? So you can see sunlight, you can see shadows, you can see something glistening, and in this case, spider webs glistening, okay, in the garden. Then allow me to move very fast to the next paragraph because I'll connect them. Below this line here, we are having our next paragraph. There. Bird song fills the air. I have a dash there. Melodies of robins, the cheerful warble of a thrush, the gentle coo of doves. In a distance, a fountain trickles, its bubbling song steady and calm. Okay? Now, I want you to think through for a minute and wonder and tell me which sense do we have here. Think through first before I give you the answer. Okay? Okay, so that is it. I believe we all agree that here bird song fills the air. Melodies. So I'm going to underline bird songs. I'm going to underline melodies. Then I'm coming to underline trickling of a fountain and the word calm. And bubbling too, bubbling song. So these are things that you can hear. You can hear the melodies of the birds. Remember, we're having bird song. You can hear a fountain trickling, the water dropping and trickling and all that. You can hear bubbling song. You can hear something. Okay, as much as it's calm, you can't hear anything, but you hear the silence. It's still appealing to the sense of what? Of hearing. Okay, we're having the sense of hearing over there. Now, look at the choice of words that I've used. Look at whatever we've been underlining, choice of words, the vocabulary that are appealing to, the vocabularies that are appealing to the senses we are looking at. But at this point, what are we really describing? Of course, we are describing a garden. That is in general. So let me just go back to the first paragraph. So we will scroll together from the first one to the last one. Generally, the whole text is describing a hidden garden. That's okay. We understand that. And here it is, a secret or a hidden garden. But if you look at the first paragraph, we have said the first sentence is introducing to us what we are looking at. That is the secret garden. Now, what particularly about this garden is being described? That is the question you need to understand. As much as we are having a description, we are describing one thing in particular. Say, for example, you're describing a person. Let me just divert a little bit. You're describing a person. You're going to talk about their size, body size, their height, their skin complexion, their personalities. So these are different things. Let me just list them down for you. If we are describing a person, you want people to really get a mental picture of who this person is. You will talk about their height. How tall are they? You will talk about their body size. An estimate body size that you can actually tell 6 foot, 6 foot, that is on height, 6 feet, that is on height, body size. Okay, I don't want to use, I'm avoiding using wrong term, but you know how to describe somebody's body size. Are they lean? Are they plump? Okay, so we are looking at their personality. But first, let me talk about the physicals that we can see. We have height, size, we have complexion, their skin tone. And again, I believe you know how to describe somebody's complexion. And then we are talking about personality. Personality is general. Okay, personality. How would you describe somebody's height? How would you describe size? How would you describe complexion and their personality? So the same way when we are describing the garden. When we're describing the garden, we are describing what somebody sees, okay? So we have that question, what? Then we are having, so what is in the garden? Let me just have that. Where is the garden? Why is it unique? So we have what, where it is, why is it unique? And then generally we have how you personally find it. What is your opinion of the garden? Okay, so we are describing some things in particular. That's why we went back to the first paragraph and we asked, we know generally we are describing the garden. The same way when you're describing a person, generally we are describing a person, right? So you tell us, what is this person about? The height, size, complexion, personality. The garden, the place you're describing. What is it? Where is it? How does it look like? How do you find it? Why is it so unique to you? So these are the things that we are actually describing in our previous paragraphs. So let's go back and check now that you've understood what I meant by the particular details we are describing about our special or unique or hidden garden. So here we are. The first one we said, because we said sense of hearing, it is obviously telling us what we can see when you stepped into the garden, okay? What can you see, right? And at the same time, we're also describing where it is, okay? Tucked behind a crumbling stone wall, almost forgotten by time, lies a secret garden that seems to breathe with quiet magic. So what this person forgot to mention is, where is this garden? Is it a backyard? Is it a kitchen garden? Is it a garden in a resort or something? Is it at home? And all that. So you have to also be specific and mention where this place is or where this garden is. Then when you come to the next paragraph, what is all this about? What is this about? What is all this about the garden? We are talking about jasmine. I believe jasmine is a kind of a plant or flower, whatever it is that you know. We find it in the what? In the garden. Okay. We are looking at the air is cool. What do we find there? We are talking about the air. We can smell it and all that. So as much as we say this is a sense of smell, there is also a bit of sense of taste there that is helping us understand really what this garden looks like and how we find it personally. And then we come to the next paragraph. What you can see, a canopy of leafy branches. So what do we find within this garden? Leafy branches. Okay, we are looking at scattering dappled shadows. We are looking at golden shaft slips through, things are landing on spider webs. Then coming to the other one, there are birds there. You can actually literally see the birds. You can hear them sing melodiously. Okay, so it is all about what we see and our opinions generally are in this garden. We would have continued and give our opinion about this garden. So let's find one together. Right, so for a garden that is so well described, that is already appealing to all the senses, we're going to come up with a paragraph together. You try come up with your own. I'll also come up with my own. Then we see what do we have to say about our wonderful garden. So let's see briefly. This is my personal opinion about the garden. For someone who has all the love to give, this garden has a large bag for it. Its tingling soft soil on your feet is a soothing feeling. The sun rays on the almost yellow bushes creates, just a minute, create a forever memory to the soul. Want to take an escape? Visit the garden. Life dwells here. So this is my personal opinion. I'm still going on to describe so much about the garden. As much as we are looking at descriptive writing, but try. Why would you describe it so nicely? Of course, you're telling people what it is, and at the end of the day, you're allowed to try and be persuasive enough so that people can really tell that, oh, so this garden is as beautiful as it is being described. People find it accommodative. People find it worth visiting. People find it worth, hosting them for some time when they want to escape their traumas and all, okay? So my personal opinion ends with a persuasive, a very strong sentence that is meant to make my readers understand what I'm actually describing. It's fun, it's lovely, it has you can create good memories there. You just sit all the way through, both morning, midday, in the evening, because obviously or definitely we have shades there that you can sit under when the sun is too hot, okay? So if you generally connect what we have, you have come up with a wonderfully described text describing a place. Okay, so I've given a bit of what you're supposed to look at. I've shown you how to actually identify a vocabulary that will create the senses. You can feel everything just by reading the words used in writing. You can come up with your own words. You can come up with your own choice of vocabulary. You can come up with your own item that you want to describe. Now, moving forward, as you will be describing things for people, you're describing places, you're describing, just a minute, you're describing an item to people, you want people to understand really what you're looking at, please know how to do it, choose your vocabulary keenly, and create a mental picture. At the end of the day, the main objective of doing a descriptive text is just you want people to understand what you're describing. You want people to have that picture in their mind and get to understand truly this is what this person went through. You might try describing an event that you attended. How do you create, how do you appeal to the five senses when you're describing an event? You must be very, very careful. It's a birthday party, it could be a concert, it could be a wedding. Those are events. So try to be very, very strict, not really strict, sorry. Try to be very smart with the vocabulary choices you're making that will appeal to the sense of hearing. Somebody is wondering, how do I taste an event? How do I create the sense of taste in an event? There are so many ways, several ways, creative ways, okay? So it's not as easy as as you think. It's not rocket science. It's the easiest thing ever. Just read more books back at home. Try to research more on descriptive writing, read through them, and you will definitely understand what we are looking at. Okay, so thank you so much for attending my lesson today. My name again is Teacher Vivian Elizabeth from Andalusia. This has been our English lesson on descriptive writing. Until next time, thank you so much.